included in the Sunday bulletins, and they're very similar to what you've seen previously in prior years. On it will be asked just your name and contact information, and of course your pledge amount stated in terms of weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annual giving. Also, if you have not already enrolled in an electronic giving method, please indicate if you wish to do so. We'll ask you to bring the cards forward during the service, during communion, and place them in the offering plates that will be located near the front, near the communion servers. They should not be placed in the normal, regular offering plates. We'll also be receiving commitment cards for several weeks following next Sunday for those who may not be able to attend the service next week. 2 weeks ago, Paul Erickson gave us a superb temple talk that emphasized commitment and how we are all called upon as Christians to make, fulfill, and grow our stewardship commitments. In the course of his temple talk, Paul referenced a chart, Chris, if you could move, which shows the annual giving at various levels of annual income and percent of giving, and which can be used to facilitate one's thinking about a stewardship commitment. We've included in this Sunday's program a repeat of this chart, along with a similar one stated in terms of weekly giving rather than annual giving. Now, while these charts are very general in nature, we've also included on the back of the same sheet a step chart, which is substantially more specific and which we do every year. On this, we provide a profile of our congregation's regular offerings over the past 12 months, which shows the number of congregants at various average weekly giving levels. I like to emphasize that this does not include dedicated giving, which has been especially significant this past year with our roof campaign and the generous and much appreciated donations of 45 individuals and families. Again, as you think about your pledge commitment for next year, please reflect upon this chart also and consider the possibility of moving up a step from where you are now. As I mentioned previously, Paul spoke about commitment 2 weeks ago, and last week, Pastor Benoway gave us a wonderful temple talk that addressed, among other things, the importance of our financial commitments for 2020 and how they will impact the call process that we hope to undertake next year. Simply put, before we can enter into the call process, we need to demonstrate that our church has the financial wherewithal to support a new full-time pastor. And the means by which to do this starts with our pledge commitments that we make next week and fulfill over the coming year. We believe that at a minimum, we will need to increase our regular offerings by 10% next year to meet our objective. As the pastor stated last week, our giving as a congregation will have a significant bearing not only on whether the bishop feels we are ready to enter the call process, but will also determine which individuals will be considered as potential candidates for LCC in terms of their experience and other qualifications, such as academic degrees or advanced training. Moreover, and maybe most importantly, our financial stewardship will be one of those factors that the candidates themselves will be considering as they judge LCC and assess the prospects for their future here. In other words, the evaluations of the call process will go both ways. And I believe that there's one other key point which Pastor Benoway raised last week, which bears repeating. We need to trust that God will guide us to the right person to lead us in the coming years. And we must therefore be willing to make and fulfill the financial commitment necessary for this to happen. This is not a time for wait and see approach, but rather a time to have faith that by moving up in our giving as a congregation, we will indeed move forward. The process of finding a new pastor is both challenging and exciting, and one which has many steps. But there's no question what step needs to come first. What needs to come first is a demonstration of our capacity and commitment as a congregation together to support a new pastor. We hope over the next week you'll take some time to look over the materials included in the bulletin, as well as the brochure recently sent to you, copies of which are in the narthex if you need one, and to reflect upon the messages of the Temple Talks as you prayerfully consider your stewardship commitment for 2020. I think we can all agree that LCC offers a tremendous opportunity for a new pastor with the right gifts to develop the exceptional potential that we have here at LCC as a body of Christ. And we need to do our part to ensure that God will bring him or her to us, and by telling him next week that we are grateful. Thank you, and I believe it's time for our Sunday offerings.
Thank you, David.